Hey Raghunath, tell everyone about our Patreon community.
Sure, Kaustubha. The Wisdom of the Sages Patreon community is an incredible online yoga resource. If you like the type of yoga wisdom and culture we share on the show, then our Patreon community is a great next step. This is a listener-supported podcast, and any level of sponsorship will unlock a wide range of live and archived classes, talks, and even workshops.
Raghunath teaches, I teach, and we have a host of other excellent teachers on topics ranging from yoga philosophy, asana classes, storytelling, Ayurveda, kirtan, cooking, meditation, and a lot more.
We even have an incredible online Bhakti 12-step recovery group.
So if you want to check it out, go to patreon.com/wisdom of the sages.
All right, let's get it on.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Live from Super Soul Farm, this is Wisdom of the Sages, a daily yoga podcast with your host Raghunath and co-host and senior educator at the Bhakti Center in New York City, Kaustubha Das. Welcome to the show and welcome to Monday. It's Makeover Monday. It's a chance to let go of whatever we did yesterday and become the person we want to be starting today. Instead of saying one day, I say day one. You know, I was looking over, Kaustubha, people's Makeover Mondays. Very interesting and very inspiring.
From the Discord thread?
From the Discord thread, which is part of our Patreon community. Sarah Grambush says, I'm going to start cooking for Krishna. No more just cooking. I'm cooking for Krishna. I like that.
That's a good one. That's a very good one.
Ginny said, getting to bed before 10 p.m. because, let's face it, nothing productive happens after dinner. I love that one.
Very true.
Saleli G says, hashtag no snooze. She's getting that tattooed on her back. Bob said, officially removed Facebook and Twitter from my phone.
Oh, okay.
That's powerful.
Yeah.
Arumar, these things make a difference. And Arumar says, increase rounds to 10 rounds of japa by 10 a.m.
Very good.
Very good, huh?
Yeah.
So if you feel like you're in a rut with some bad habits affecting your personal growth and spiritual connection, I've got great news for you. It's Monday. How are you, Kaustubha? We had a great interview yesterday, wasn't that, Krishna?
I'm flying high. Still from the interview.
She was quite wonderful. Krishna Anandini, if you haven't heard that, go to Facebook or go to YouTube or wherever you listen to your podcasts and listen to Krishna Anandini's. She was inspirational. Like I said yesterday, I was like, we always get a little bio of a person. Mm-hmm. The fact that she had 10 kids, that's enough for a bio. If you raised 10 kids and you survived, I want to hear your story.
She gave birth to, if I understand correctly, she gave birth to 9 kids and then adopted a 10th.
I'm still going to give her credit. I'm still giving her full credit.
I mean, that's more credit.
That's it.
You know, it's like, it's like you have 9 kids that you gave birth to, and then you go ahead and adopt another one. It's amazing.
I think parents with a lot of kids can know, like, after you get a certain amount of kids, it's sort of like, then they start watching each other. It becomes easier. It does get a little easier, I think, but.
I guess once you have 9, 10, it's like.
just add some more in.
But what realizations, what just clear-headed, deeply devotional outlook in life,
Well, I also really liked, I really liked, again, I was about to take the credit myself, but you sort of came up with the questions. It was super simple, like, tell me about love. Tell me about any advice for marriage, any advice for if you're unmarried, advice for those of us who are unmarried. Tell us about friendship. I think that keeping those questions really simple and hearing it from a person who's dedicated their life to a spiritual path and lived it and gone through all and there was another great one.
Yeah.
Here she is focused on a path of bhakti according to the traditions of India. We're practicing here. And she's married to an Islamic guy.
I know.
How does that work? Because a lot of us are all in mixed marriages, so to speak. How does it work? Or because I think that people, because the mind is very lazy, it has a tendency to be lazy. We look for differences to try to find an easy way out. And she didn't. She just goes right through it. She just goes right through, and it's good. It's actually very timely because today is a very special day on our Vaishnav calendar. It's Haridasa Thakur's. It's an appearance day or disappearance day?
Disappearance day.
Disappearance. Disappearance means he didn't just like disappear. It means devotees say these words like disappearance,
Right.
appearance, but disappearance means he died. That's a translation of he died. But we don't say he died. We say he disappeared because devotees never die.
Appeared,
And we never say born. We never say born. We say he appeared. Kaustubha's appearance day. What do you think about that, Kaustubha?
I'm just still flying high from that. We need to see examples of people who are living it, and she's an example of a true yoga success story. It's not, she embraced the principles of yoga, bhakti-yoga, in a very sincere way. She's lived it for 5 decades, and now you can see she's at the end of life, and she's just, pouring out the wisdom, and is completely ready to move on to the next, to the next stage without any fear, without any animosity, pure-hearted.
When I was young to teaching, Kaustubha, to address that point you just made, when I was young to teaching, I started teaching tons of workshops by like senior popular teachers in the yoga community.
Attending them, you're saying?
Yeah, I was attending them just to see like, all right, what are these? I was already a monk, I lived as a monk and studied bhakti for years before that, but I wasn't teaching. So I wanted to see like, what are American yoga teachers teaching? So I went to one. I won't mention the person's name, but it was a packed workshop, and everybody on the edge of their seat wanted to hear some wisdom. This yoga teacher, and he said, we've come a long way in the last 25 years with vinyasa yoga and the things and the transitions people can do and the sequencing that we put together. And he paused and he said, but we're yet to produce a saint. We're yet to produce like a sadhu or a saint. And I thought to myself, yeah, of course, because none of you guys you don't follow any yamas and niyamas. You skip a whole part of the yoga movement. Of course you're not going to produce a saint. So we don't want to just add, let's see how high we can go up the asana tree without going to how can we start to correct our internal dysfunction. And that's where we go with this whole yoga practice. It becomes very like internalized instead of externalized. And so it's really encouraging to see so many yoga teachers and so many people serious about their yoga practice on the show today, because I truthfully, I see all of these people as harbingers of spiritual truth in their communities, wherever they're going. And this is what we want to do. We want to take this message of the Bhagavatam, or this message of the sages of ancient India, and put it into the yoga community. Put it back into the yoga community. Like, we're make yoga great again. Make yoga have depth again. That's going to be my new hat. Give yoga depth again.
Okay.
You think that'll go over well?
I don't know.
I'll go back to the drawing board with that one.
Okay. In any case, it was a great blessing, to hear her. It just heart changing, Another thing we should mention is tomorrow we have our special guest, because it'll be the Bhadra Purnima.
Oh yeah,
right. And
it's Bhadra Purnima. It's the auspicious day.
Yeah.
It's the full moon. The moon's getting big too right now. Upstate, lit up the whole sky last night. I went to a campfire last night.
Campfire.
Well, just cooked out. It was like sort of a, date night in the woods. My friend's got a cabin in the middle of nowhere, and and the moon was massive. Found a bunch of chicken of the woods, mushrooms.
Okay, chicken of the woods.
Mara knows, right? Yeah, she's like, yeah, chicken in the woods, chicken in the woods.
Yeah, they're delicious.
Yeah.
Okay.
There we go.
And so, but it's the Bhadra Purnima, which is the Bhagavatam itself mentions that it's an incredibly auspicious day to give the gift of the Bhagavatam to someone. And Bhagavatam is a big set, but you know, I reached out to just before the show, I reached out to Gopal Champu, our friend from the New York City Harinam crew of monks,
Yeah.
who are focused on this campaign that on this day they just want to try to distribute as many sets of Srimad Bhagavatam as possible. And I said, how's it going so far? They said 300. They've distributed 300 sets of Bhagavatam. As part of
Really?
this campaign. Yes. It's amazing.
Part of our campaign?
Their campaign.
Oh,
you
their
know,
campaign.
those
Okay.
guys,
We're not taking credit for that.
But a lot of them are Wisdom of the Sages people.
That's great.
And-
You know, go on.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Well,
Sorry.
I just see that you know, people are saying, hey, who should I give one to? You know, who should I give a set to? So it's nice, and I really encourage you, if you can. You know, it's not cheap. You know, it's a few. I think it's $275 for a full set, but it's such a massive, beautiful, transcendental, you know, gift to give. And if you can, give this special gift. Tuesday's the actual day. That's tomorrow. We'll have them on, and you know, it counts whether you go ahead and order it today or tomorrow. You know, whatever.
Yeah. What are the official rules? You got to give it to them. It's got to arrive at their doorstep, or you just have to swipe your credit card. How does that work?
Whatever, however you do it, it works. And you know, they're also part of it is that I mentioned the other day that if you want to donate a couple sets to the villages in South India, that you could do it that way. And they're going to do, you know, a hobalam. You know, a hobalam, Raghunath? You know where that is?
Yeah. South India.
In South India, it's like this holy place connected to Lord Nrsingadev, the half man, half lion avatar. You know, it's a powerful spiritual place, you know, where you get, you know, powerful benedictions. And they're going to do this massive, you know, Bhagavatam related fire yagna, chanting mantras. And for every person that donated a set of Bhagavatam, their name will be chanted as part of that, you know, as part of that ritual.
Wow, that's
So
beautiful.
you get
So,
in on that too.
so I had, you know, some sweet bhaktis like Mukunda Kishore wrote me and said, you know, I want to donate a Bhagavatam. If you're one of those persons, if you're one of those persons that says, I want to donate a Bhagavatam, but I don't know who to give it to, write to us at Wisdom of the Sages, Wisdom of the Sages 108@gmail.com, and
We'll figure it out for you.
we'll figure it out for you. There's people out there who want to give, and there's people who want to receive, who can't afford, like the Bhagavatam, would like it, but just can't afford it. So, but if you're on either one of those groups, you'd love to receive one or you'd love to give one, write to us and we'll figure it out for you, because this is a special time of year and we're studying the Bhagavatam.
Rogan and I,
It's an auspicious day.
we were going to give one to Mara, but then through clever, you know, we're trying to figure out, does she have a
I know.
full set?
So the other day I asked her, I was like, so what are you reading? I was trying to be really coy. I was like, what are you reading? When you read the Bhagavatam, are you reading online? She's like, sometimes I read it online. I was like, well, what else would you read if you're not reading it online? Well, sometimes I have a paperback one. I was like, do you have any hardcover ones? And I think she does.
She does. She got it. And then,
Yeah, she does. She does.
And then
have
I reached out and then we found out that from Mahotsaha from New York.
Yeah, I ordered it from the New York City Harinam guys. Yeah.
And Ananda Devi Dasi is telling us that the Harinam does payment plans as well. So, you know, if you want to get on a payment plan to gift that set. And even if you want to gift it to yourself, that counts too.
That's still
right?
good. It's a gift.
Yeah.
That's great. Do they ever what's that called when they go and take your car?
Repossess?
Do they ever repossess? Hey, I'm sorry, you're not making your payment plans. We're gonna have to come back and take your Bhagavatam set. Mahotsav is at the door. Oh no!
He's a transcendental repo man.
All right, so great day. And I also wanted to share, like, a lot of people are out there not live on Zoom. If you want to join us on Zoom, we have a great little party here going on. We got like 90 people here this morning. And I've heard repeatedly people say it's so much different to be on live than it is to be one of the others out there. Now, of course, we encourage anybody to listen, and sometimes people can't wake up or they're at work or whatever. But there is like a pleasure of just seeing everybody and communicating on the message board on Zoom. It doesn't cost anything. All you got to do is email Mara at wisdomofthesages108@gmail.com. Wisdomofthesages108@gmail.com. And she will give you the magical codes to enter into our chamber of Zoom. And of course, if you are one of the others out there, let us know you are out there. We'd love to hear your story. Your story is all interesting, and your story inspires us. How the podcast affected your journey home. Pick up your iPhone, go to Apple Podcasts or your computer, and give us a review and tell us your story so everyone can see it. Let's dive in, Prabhu.
All right, let's dive in.
We start with these prayers. Narayanam namaskritya naram chaiva narotamam devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayam mudiraye. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the very means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisances to the personality of Godhead Narayan, unto Narayan Rishi, the supermost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and to Srila Vyasadeva, the author. Nasta priyeshva badreshu nityam bhagavat sevaya bhagavati utamashloke bhaktir bhavati naishtaki. By regular attendance in classes on the Bhagavatam and by rendering service to the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart is completely destroyed, and loving service to the personality of Godhead, who is praised with transcendental songs, is established as an irrevocable fact. Om Jnana Tamrandasya Gyananjana Salakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha.
You know, speaking of prayers, when Krishnanandini chanted that prayer or said that prayer for all of us, for everyone connected to the podcast, that was
beautiful.
She
was beautiful. I just went this morning to read, because you said this. Me and Kaustubha talk on the phone, and we gab every morning at 4:30. And he said, "Boy, we got a lot of comments." So I went back and read the comments. There were some really sweet, inspirational comments about
all over
her.
the place. On Facebook, on YouTube, everywhere, like people are talking about it.
Prabs, what text are we on? 20?
Well, we read 18 last, but why don't we just quickly read 18 again? We're in Canto 2, Chapter 2,
text 18. The transcendentalists desire to avoid everything godless. It's true. For they know that the supreme situation in which everything related with the Supreme Lord,
everything is.
Help me. For they know that the supreme situation in which everything is related with the Supreme Lord Vishnu. Therefore, a pure devotee who is in absolute harmony with the Lord does not create perplexities, but worships the lotus feet of the Lord at every moment, taking them into his heart.
You know, so I was just thinking that we entitled yesterday was interview, before that was question and answer. So before that was where we read this verse, and we spoke about this alignment, right? Aligning, it was these verses previous to this said, merging the senses into the mind, and the mind into the intelligence, and the intelligence into the Atma, and the Atma into the Paramatma, and by merging, meaning aligning them all so that there's no disharmony between them, so that they're all connected. Here it's saying, anything, desire to avoid anything godless, anything disconnected from God. Let my senses be connected to God. Let my mind be connected to God. Let my intelligence, let my very self all be aligned with the Paramatma, or all with God in the heart. Then that's actually yoga, right? That's union. Everything is aligned. There's no more disharmony, no more static, no more dissonance. Just like when one can do that you could. I mean, it's going to be hard not to keep talking about it, right? But you take something like Krishna, and the whole thing is all just lined up, right?
It's all lined up,
and then you just see she's happy. She's not fearful. She's not in anxiety. She's just like.
I mean, she has stage 4 cancer, and she's talking to us like she's just. I was about to say, like, you look healthier than a lot of people I know, right?
Yeah. What to speak of, emotional
radiance,
health and mental health.
Balanced, not stressed.
So that's, because why? This is saying avoiding everything godless. She's transformed everything in her life to become godly, to be aligned. They know this is a supreme situation in which everything is related to the Supreme Lord, right? My family, my home, my wealth, my body, my words. Therefore, the pure devotee is in absolute harmony with the Lord. They do not create perplexities, right? You can imagine that, like, having everybody's saying here that actually she didn't only have 10 kids. On top of that, she had 6 stepkids or something. Like she had 19 like kids, right?
What?
Yeah. So you would think that would create unbelievable amounts of stress, and no,
It did. Don't say it. It must have, but she just dealt with it.
But when your stress is connected with God, right? When it's separate, then even the little thing just destroys you. But my point is, they do not create perplexity because everything is in harmony. Everything's dovetailed. Everything's connected. And you can just see, you can see the result. And the result of taking, and then the verse says at the end, by bringing the feet of God into your heart, by bringing God into your heart,
Hey, Kaustubha, why don't you explain what that means? Because if people are new to the show and they hear something like bringing the feet of Vishnu into your heart, like, what?
It just means that's where that's how you approach, right? It's just basically a way of saying bring God into your heart,
Right.
But
the feet are so low. The feet are so low.
Yeah, with humility you approach at the feet.
Yeah. Okay. Text 19. By the strength of scientific knowledge. I always picture like a guy in a white lab coat and
what's the guy? Thomas Dolby or whatever. Blinded me with science.
You can tell me and Kaustubha's age just by our musical references. By the strength of scientific knowledge, one should be well situated in absolute realization and thus be able to extinguish all material desires. One should then give up the material body by blocking the air hole through which the stool is evacuated. We're going to call that the anus. With the heel of one's foot, and by lifting the air from one place to another in the 6 primary places. Okay, hot seat, Kaustubha. What is that Ashtanga Yoga asana that you block the anus with the heel of one foot? Okay, first person to put it on the message board gets a prize.
They're going to beat me probably. I forget. When you say it, it'll...
Looking for Lori Peg. Come on, Lori Peg. She knows every yoga pose. It's Jana Shirshasana. Yes! Jono B.
Okay.
Good job. Oh, it's Kelly Skinner. Okay. Yes. So you seal the anus with the heel. That's what they must have been doing. Jana Shirshasana B, and then leaving their body.
Well, yes. What we're going to hear, and I suggest, Raghunath, that we read kind of straight through these texts.
Okay.
They're gonna describe a practice that is very elusive to people in the age that we live in. Very few people will accomplish this. It's a process where mechanically one is going to lift the airs in the body through the different chakras out the top of the head, right? And then not only that, just as there's kind of the micro macro thing going on, and then as one kind of exits the body, then the soul is also going to penetrate all the various layers. It's like Bhagavatam they're going to describe that the universe is like a big gobstopper, right? With like layer after layer after layer.
Someone call it a Fibonacci spiral.
I don't think Fibonacci spiral applies here. I think you're reaching.
Well, I'm just saying. Well, you're breaking. Well, it's the same thing. You're breaking through the body, which is like a little gobstopper. Then you're breaking through other layers, right? It's earth, water, fire, air.
I'm with you there, gobstopper, but Fibonacci spiral.
Well, I'm just saying it starts small, gets bigger and bigger, and then you got to get through the universe.
All right. So then that one, through their yogic technique, they're going to exit the universe and enter to the spiritual realm. And so we're going to hear about that now.
Their yogic technique, jumping back to chaturanga. They're going to go right through. Okay. I'm just all yogaed out right this morning. I'm ready for some yoga.
Okay.
All right. Text 20. The meditative devotee should slowly push up the life air from the navel to the heart, from there to the chest, and from there to the root of the palate. He should search out the proper places with intelligence. intelligence. Text 21. The bhakti-yogi should push the life air up between the eyebrows and then blocking the 7 outlets of the life air, right? These are the 7 gates. They should maintain his aim for going back home, back to Godhead. If he is completely free from all desires of material enjoyment, he should then reach the cerebral hole and give up his material connections, having gone to the Supreme. So the cerebral hole is the hole in the top of the skull. It's the
Like
little,
where it's really soft on babies, right?
yeah.
That
That's where the
where
yogi
skull
leaves the body.
joins. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Have you ever heard that the person who's sattvic leaves through the skull, and rajasic leaves through the mouth, and tamasic leaves through the anus? Have you ever heard that?
I've heard that ordinary people, it leaves through the mouth, and then these yogis leave through the. Yeah, I've heard more or less that. Yeah.
Okay, just checking in. Sometimes devotees also just make up stuff and just and it's spread peculiar rumors, but they're not necessarily based in reality.
I think in the commentary, this verse Prabhupada mentions some of that.
Okay, well, keep going. Text 22. However, O king, if a yogi maintains a desire for improved material enjoyments, this could be it, like transference to the topmost planet, Brahmaloka, or achievement of the eightfold mystic perfections, travel in outer space with the Vahayasis. What's the Vahayasis?
Is that the vehicles that they travel on?
No, that's the Vimanas.
Well, it may
Is
be
the
another way of saying
Vahayas?
it.
Okay.
Or
a
it says
situation.
there are beings known as these are special beings up there. The Vahayasis.
Okay. Or a situation in one of the millions of planets that he has to take away with him the materially molded mind and senses.
So I could have left the body and the mind and the senses all behind, but I didn't because I had material desires. So even though I'm moving up high in the universe, my material desires are keeping me here.
Yeah. Okay. Text 23. The transcendentalists are concerned with the spiritual body. As such, by the strength of their devotional service, austerities, mystic power, and transcendental knowledge, their movements are unrestricted within and beyond the material worlds. The fruitive workers or the gross materialists can never move in such an unrestricted manner. Pretty cool. O king, when such a mystic passes over the Milky Way by the illuminating Sushumna to reach the highest planet, Brahmaloka, he goes first to the Vaishvanara, the planet of the deity of fire, wherein he becomes completely cleansed of all contaminations. And thereafter he still goes higher to the circle of Shumara to relate with Lord Hari, the personality of Godhead. What does Prabhupada say about the Milky Way? What's the Milky Way? It's just like the end of this universe?
I don't know. I mean, it's a galaxy, right? I don't know.
I don't know. I didn't.
I
Mara,
mean,
what did you learn in school, Mara? What's the Milky Way?
Well, I was just going to say, at the end of the purport, it says the Milky Way in the sky is indicated herein as the way leading to Brahmaloka, the highest planet.
What does material science say the Milky Way is?
It's a galaxy.
Yeah.
Is it a galaxy?
Yeah.
I know nothing about space. I just know about like Vedic planets. I learned everything from the Bhagavatam. I know nothing of material science. The Shishumara is the pivot for the turning of the complete universe, and it is called the navel of Vishnu. Interesting. Garbhodakshay Vishnu. The yogi alone goes beyond the circle of Shushumara and attains the planet Maharloka, where purified saints like Brigu enjoy a duration of life of 4,300,000,000 solar years. This planet is worshipable even for saints who are transcendentally situated. So that's a material planet, Maharloka.
Yep.
It's amazing, huh? I believe. I do, man. I do. I believe. Of Of course, there's other higher planets. We think we're the only planet of life. Give me a break.
Give me a break.
Give me a break, right? Yeah. Millions of planets. That's just like my arrogance speaking, isn't it? Yeah. Millions of planets, and there's just me. I'm the only intelligent life form, and I'm not even that intelligent. Come on, people. At that time of final devastation of the complete universe, the end of the duration of Brahma's life, a flame of fire emanates from the mouth of Ananta, from the bottom of the universe. So Ananta is the snake. The yogi sees all the planets of the universe burning to ashes and thus leaves for Satyaloka by airplanes used by the great purified souls. So this doesn't mean necessarily
You still believe, Rogan?
I do. Okay. It doesn't mean a 747. It means just some type of flying vehicle. Of course. The duration.
Of course, there's other kind of flying vehicles. You think that airplane was the first flying vehicle that ever existed in all of existence? Come on.
We know so little.
Yeah.
We know so little. How dare we? The duration of life in Satyaloka is calculated to be 15 trillion 480 billion years. Years. Whoever did this translation actually calculated these according to the. I don't know how they did it, actually.
It's a number. They got numbers.
It's a number. They have numbers. They translated the number. Oh, gosh, I wish I was ever. Oftentimes, Mara, and you can relate with me on this. You can empathize with me here. Oftentimes, like when I'm reading or something, I just go, I just wish I was a little smarter. Just a little bit smarter. I think I could do so much good in the world if I was just a hair smarter.
And just a little bit taller.
A little bit taller, a little bit smarter. Oh, Krishna. I just got to work with what I got. You know what I mean? I just got to work with what I got.
That's all we can do.
And here's the interesting thing in bhakti. You don't have to be smarter to go back to the spiritual world. It's not like intelligence is a qualification. You have to have spiritual intelligence, but it's not like great intellect is your deep qualification. You don't have to be a Sanskrit pundit. You don't have to be tall per se. You need a heart of devotion. And that's what we're working on here in the Bhagavatam on Wisdom of the Sages.
And you don't need to be a great yogi like this. You don't need to be this super masterful, self-controlled yogi, which is kind of the point.
You need to do a handstand.
Okay.
You need to do a handstand or you cannot be liberated in this lifetime. I just want to share that, Mara. I know you're working on that. Kick up. Mara's actually very good at handstands.
Is she?
She's pretty good. No, she's pretty good at it.
She's humbly saying no, not me.
No, seriously. Okay, the devotee thus surpasses the subtle objects of different senses, like the aroma of smelling.
Where did you go? Where are you at?
Text 29. Did I miss 20? Whoops. There I go. That's the mode of passion. All right. In the planet of Satyaloka, there is neither bereavement, nor old age, nor death. Wait a second. How can there
I think
be
the death just at the end of the universe, there's death. But that's like a rule.
That's
I think that's what that means. Yeah.
There is no pain of any kind. So this is what we would call in a Judeo-Christian culture like a heaven, a very high heaven. But the yogis accept it still as a material place. So check out what heaven's like. There's no bereavement. What does bereavement mean?
I think like Mare?
Like grief, but I'll look it up
grief.
for sure.
Okay, no grief. Okay. There's no old age. No wrinkles. No saggy face. My face is getting saggier too. No old age. There's no old age. There's no old age homes. There's no death. There's no pain of any kind, and therefore there's no anxiety. Save that sometimes, due to consciousness, there's a feeling of compassion for those unaware of the process of devotional service, who are subjected to unsurpassable miseries in the material world. Does that mean on that planet? Or they're aware of other planets where people are suffering?
They're aware of other planets because there's no bereavement, old age, or death going on there.
Isn't that interesting? Like, we're aware of their planet and they're aware of our planet. But like those poor people on Earth, they're so foolish. They're rioting. They're getting old. They're materially engrossed. They don't believe in airplanes from other planets. Oh. And we're thinking about heaven. Oh, heaven. So interesting, huh? All right, text 28.
Yeah.
After reaching Satyaloka, the devotee is specifically able to be incorporated fearlessly by the subtle body in an identity similar to that of the gross body. What?
Keep reading.
Okay. And one after another, he gradually attains stages of existence from earthly to watery. What? Fiery, glowing, and airy until he reaches the ethereal stage. What? What's going on? You got a fiery body?
We have the soul is eternal, right?
Yeah.
It's not really dependent on anything external to it because it's eternal. Now, we're currently situated in a body that's made up of all of these different elements. We have earth, the elements in our body. We have water. We have fire within the body that gives the body heat, et cetera, right?
Yeah.
All those elements are within the body.
Yeah, we got them anyway.
But this is describing that now this person they're going through changes of bodies, and one element after another is being dropped away because they're going to travel. Now they're going to travel through. You see, the idea is that the gobstopper coverings of this universe are these different elements.
I love that analogy.
Gobstopper.
Yeah.
You get credited for that one. And so there's the earthy element, then there's the water, then there's the fire, and they're going to pass through all of these. And so the body is going to be suitable to pass through each. This yogi has such mastery, right, that of the material elements, that they're moving from one body to another as they pass through the different coverings. I believe that's what's this is talking about.
You know, I actually had a flashback to a memory of arguing with a Krishna devotee on the streets of New York who was trying to tell me that we have fire in our body.
There's heat in the body.
There's heat in the body. I know. I wouldn't accept it. And I was just, it's a weird opening gambit for somebody to say, yeah, you got fire in the body. You want to buy a book, Bhagavad Gita? I was like, there's no fire in my body. But yeah, of course, there's heat in the body.
It's all coming from the sun, and the sun is, a big ball of fire.
Yeah. I just like to argue. Okay, text
29.
The devotee thus surpasses the subtle objects of different senses, like the aroma of smelling, the palate of tasting, the vision of seeing forms, touch by contacting, the vibrations of the ear by ethereal identification, and the sense organs by material activities.
This is interesting, because again, it's the same thing being mentioned again. Those are the elements, right? It's the earth has all the different, has aroma, has taste, has sight, has touch, it has them all. And as you go from earth, then you drop off aroma as you move up to water, right? And then so each one, the earth has them all. Water drops one, fire drops the next until you go up. So it says that the devotee is their body is moving from one level to the next. And here it says the devotee surpasses the subtle objects of the different senses. You kind of lose your sense of smell, and then you move up to the next, and you lose that, and then you exit the entire universe.
What that feels like. Oh, boom. Does it feel like you're giving birth or being birthed?
I don't know, Raghunath. I suggest we just read text 30. Maybe there'll be some.
You don't think I should just keep speculating about what it must feel like to be leaving the universe? All right, text 30. The devotee, thus surpassing the gross and subtle forms of coverings, enters the plane of egoism. It's the final stage. And in that status, he merges the material modes of nature, ignorance and passion, in this point of neutralization, and thus reaches egoism in goodness. What? After this, all egoism is merged in the Mahatattva, and he comes to the point of pure self-realization.
Yeah. So then the ego first lets go of the lower modes, and then it's situated purely in goodness, and then even lets go of that. And then now all of the material elements have been merged back into the Mahatattva, into the greater. It's like I took off everything and then I just threw it back into the pot, you know?
All right.
Now let's read from the purport here. And this is important. And I think we can just speak about this for the rest of the day, because we mentioned today is the disappearance of Haridasa Thakur.
Yeah.
And Haridasa Thakur, he is known, such an important character, you know, in our lineage, that he was a person that was an associate of Sri Chaitanya, means he lived roughly 500 years ago. And amongst Sri Chaitanya's associates, he was established and understood as the namacharya. So nama means the name, specifically here referring to the holy names of Krishna and the Maha Mantra. And acharya means mera.
Like teacher, master.
Yeah, exactly. One who teaches, like the head teacher of, you know, it literally means one who teaches by example. Now, he's important for many reasons, you know, for his teachings on the holy name. But one thing that's highlighted about his life is he was born in a Muslim family, right? And in Hindu society at that time, that would mean you would be restricted in so many ways. But Sri Chaitanya, because he wasn't coming from the purely Vedic outlook, he was coming from the Bhagavatam outlook, right? Wherein it's looking at the state of one's heart. Sri Chaitanya elevated him to the namacharya, right? Saying that birth doesn't matter, caste doesn't matter, you know, gender doesn't matter. None of these things matter. All that matters is the state of one's heart. And no one had deeper attachment or deeper realization about chanting the holy names than Haridasa Thakur. And there's many stories about his life, you know, in Chaitanya Charitamrita, in Chaitanya Bhagavat, in these texts about Sri Chaitanya and his associates. Beautiful character, you know, just absolutely beautiful character, and with deep, deep humility, you know, and just completely absorbed in the chantings of the name. So from him, we get so many teachings on the holy name, and Prabhupada's going to go there right here in this commentary. He says, we may also remember in this connection, and in the connection of like leaving the universe through this yogic process, we may also remember in this connection that the process of gradual emancipation by the devotees in the manner mentioned above, although authoritative, although it's real, is not viable in the present age because of people's being primarily unaware of yoga practice, right? What's being described here is really not a viable path for people in this age. The so-called yoga practice by the professional protagonists may be physiologically beneficial, but such small successes cannot help one in the attainment of spiritual emancipation as mentioned herein. So in other words, you're not going to go to a yoga studio and learn how to exit the universe like we just read about.
Okay, it's exit, merging your body into fire today. Can everybody get on their mats, please?
5,000 years ago, when the social status of human society was in perfect Vedic order, the yoga process mentioned herein was a common affair for everyone, because everyone, and especially the Brahmana and Kshatriyas, was trained in the transcendental art under the care of the spiritual master, far away from home, in the status of brahmacharya. In other words, from a young age, you go and learn this from a yoga master. Modern man, however, is incompetent to understand it perfectly. Okay, then what are we to do? Well, here's the good news. Lord Sri Chaitanya therefore made it easier for the prospective devotee in the present age in the following specific manner. Ultimately, there is no difference in the result. The first and foremost point is that one must understand the prime importance of bhakti-yoga. The living beings in different species of life are undergoing different terms of engagement according to their fruitive actions and reactions according to their karma. But in the execution of different activities, one who secures some resources in bhakti-yoga can understand the importance of the service of the Lord through the causeless mercy of the Lord, as well as that of the spiritual master. A sincere soul is helped by the Lord through meeting a bona fide spiritual master, the representative of the Lord. By the instruction of the spiritual master, one gets the seed of bhakti-yoga. You know, the Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu recommends that the devotee sow the seed of bhakti-yoga in his heart and nurture it by the watering of hearing and chanting the holy name, fame, etc. of the Lord. The simple process of offenselessly chanting and hearing the holy name of the Lord will gradually promote one very soon to the stage of emancipation. There are 3 stages in chanting the holy name of the Lord. The first is the offensive stage, the offensive chanting of the holy name, and the second is the reflective stage of chanting of the holy name. The third stage is the offensive chanting of the holy name of the Lord. Harinam Chintamani speaks about all this. Haridasa Thakur teaches about these 3 different stages. In the second stage only, the stage of reflection, between the offensive and offenseless stages, one automatically attains the stage of emancipation. And in the offenseless stage, one actually enters into the kingdom of God, although physically he may apparently be within the material world. To attain the offenseless stage, one must be on guard in the following manner.
Are you going to read the 10 offenses?
It's not exactly the 10 offenses that he gives here, but it talks about what's being said here is that the way that the process works is that the guru, when one practices bhakti-yoga, when one gets serious about committing to it, then the guru will give them that mantra, right? But they'll practice it in a particular way, because to be receptive, for ourselves to be receptive to the spiritual potency of that mantra, we have to be careful how we live, right? We have to be careful how we prepare our mind and heart through how we live. And so that means we have to weed out anything that is going to be, that's going to hold us back from receiving the power of this. So we read earlier, it said that seed of bhakti in the heart is growing by the watering process of hearing and chanting. That means what we're doing right now, hearing Bhagavatam every day, and then chanting, right? And chanting Mahamantra. That's the process. And then that it naturally grows. And the analogy given in Chaitanya Charitamrita is that it's like a creeper that grows through all the different coverings of the universe, and then ultimately to the spiritual realm. So here's what he says about the manner in which one has to carefully cultivate their practice of mantra chanting. He says, when we speak of hearing and chanting, it means not only should one chant and hear the holy name of the Lord as Rama, Krishna, or systematically the 16 names, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, the Mahamantra. But one should also read and hear the Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam in the association of devotees. Okay, that's part of the process of how this creeper is going to grow, how the seed will fully manifest. The primary practice of bhakti yoga will cause the seed already sown in the heart to sprout. And by a regular watering process, as mentioned above, hearing and chanting, the bhakti yoga creeper will begin to grow. By systematic nurturing, the creeper will grow to such an extent that it will penetrate the coverings of the universe, as we have heard in the previous verses, reach the effulgent sky, the Brahmajyoti, and go farther and farther and reach the spiritual sky, where there are innumerable spiritual planets called Vaikuntha Lokas. Above all of them is the Krishna Loka or Goloka Vrindavan, wherein the growing creeper enters and takes repose at the lotus feet of Lord Sri Krishna, the original personality of Godhead. When one reaches the lotus feet of Krishna at Goloka Vrindavan, the watering process of hearing and reading, also chanting of the holy name in the pure devotional stage, fructifies, and the fruit grown there in the form of love of God are tangibly tasted by the devotee, even though he is here in the material world. Very interesting, right? Prabhupada mentions that it's not necessarily that one has to leave this universe. Even in this universe, you can go through this process of the growth of that creeper, and even in this universe, taste the fruits of pure love of God. The ripe fruits of love of God are relished only by the devotees constantly engaged in the watering processes described above. But the working devotee must always be mindful so that the creeper which has so grown will not be cut off. Therefore, he should be mindful of the following considerations. So that means if we haven't achieved this stage, if we're still, he says working, we can say practicing, right? If you were still practicing this, these are the things that we need to be careful of if we want our mantra chanting to really be truly effective.
Sure. And if we're chanting anyway, why not make it effective?
Yeah, it's not just about chanting a mantra. It's about changing your entire lifestyle so that the mantra will be effective. right? It's about adopting the life of a true yogi so that the mantra will be fully effective.
Read on, Prabhu.
Number 1, offense by one at the feet of a pure devotee may be likened to a mad elephant who devastates a very good garden if it enters in. So we need to treat people right, and particularly people that are advanced yogis. We need to really be conscious and, of our, that we respect people. Right? 2, one must be very careful to guard himself against such offenses at the feet of pure devotees, just as one protects a creeper all around by you build a fence around it. I need to build a wall of protection around my own behavior.
I think we could call it it's in India, they have these Indian analogies like an elephant. There's actually elephants that go in and wreck your farm.
Yeah.
Here we can use the maddened white-tailed deer hopping over your fence and tearing up your garden, allowing other rabbits and hares and porcupines and other type of upstate New York animals in your garden.
Okay.
Maybe that's a more appropriate.
But it's not as but I think we need that mad elephant to just how powerful and devastating it is. Like if I see that deer, I'm not going to be terrified. But if I see that mad elephant, I got to run away from that thing. Right.
Deers tear up gardens, but mad elephants really crush the tomatoes. Okay.
Number 3, it so happens that by the watering process, some weeds are also grown. What are the kind of weeds of those, Raghunath?
The weeds of pratishta, the weeds of distinction, adoration. You want distinction and adoration. For example, people respect me and they look up to me as this wise, learned person. And these are problematic because as we're watering the creeper, those will also grow. As I become very serious about yoga, my ego can grow. This is super
ego
common.
Grows, you become callous towards other people, different things like that. Unless such weeds are uprooted, the nurturing of the main creeper or the creeper of Bhakti-yoga may be hampered. Right. Yeah. Also, these weeds are material enjoyment, merging the self with the absolute without separate individuality, wanting material enjoyment, wanting to give up my individual identity and merge into the divine light, and many other desires in the field of religion, economic development, sense enjoyment, and emancipation. The desire has to be pure. All I want is love of God. I want nothing else. Number 5, there are many other weeds like disobedience to the tenets of the revered scriptures, unnecessary engagements, killing animals, and hankering after material gain, prestige, and adoration. All these are problematic. The mantra is powerful, but we won't receive the benefit of it if we're not careful in our lifestyle. 6, if sufficient care is not taken, then the watering process may only help to breed the weeds. We're doing all this so-called spiritual practice and we're becoming a worse person, Right. Stunting the healthy growth of the main creeper and resulting in no fructification of the ultimate requirement, love of God.
Great analogy, the garden analogy, the creeper analogy, isn't it? The weeds.
Sometimes people are like, we see people have been practicing even Bhakti-yoga, but they have become nice, kind, sweet people. Why is that? It's because they've let all these weeds grow, They've done the watering, but they haven't plucked out the weeds. A devotee must therefore be very careful to uproot the different weeds in the very beginning. Only then will the healthy growth of the main creeper not be stunted. And by so doing, the devotee is able to relish the fruit of love of God and thus live practically with Lord Krishna, even in this life, and be able to see the Lord in every step. The highest perfection of life is to enjoy life constantly in the association of the Lord, and one who can relish this does not aspire after any temporary enjoyment of the material world via other media. This is what Haridasa Thakur taught. This is our practice of Bhakti-yoga. It means purifying one's lifestyle, being humble, being kind, being self-controlled, chanting that mantra, and receiving the full power of that mantra as perfectly illustrated in the life of Haridasa Thakur, and even in, beautiful modern saints like Krishnanandini, who we heard from yesterday.
Incredibly beautiful. That was beautiful. I wanted to read something about Haridasa Thakur, but we're out of time.
You want me to read one verse?
We're out of time.
How about one verse? I'll read one of his favorite verses, okay?
Okay, yeah.
I'll just say it, but, the verse Sri Chaitanya, Rupa Goswami lived with Haridasa Thakur in a hut under a tree, right? In a beautiful place that you can still visit, Siddhabakula in Jagannath Puri. And every day Sri Chaitanya would come and visit, and Rupa Goswami was writing his poems. And one day Sri Chaitanya came there and said, tell me what you're writing here, let's and Rupa Goswami's like so humble. He's like, oh, you don't want to read it, it's of no value. And Sri Chaitanya was like, no. And he reached down and pulled up a palm leaf on which one of the verses was written. And it was a verse glorifying the holy name of Krishna. And that verse was, Tunde tundavali ritimva tanute tundavali labdaye karna kroda kadambani kadayate karnabhidebhya spriham cheto pragyana sangani vijayate sarvendriyana kritim najane janita kriyadbir amritai krishneti varna dwayi. That when the holy name of the Lord dances on my tongue, I wish I had thousands of tongues, to taste it. The taste is so sweet. I just can't taste it enough. When the holy name of the Lord enters into the ear, I wish I had many, many thousands of ears. Right? When the holy name of the Lord enters into the courtyard of the heart, it conquers all the senses. I'm stunned, and he says, I do not know how much nectar the two syllables Krishna have produced. And when Haridasa Thakur, who was sitting right there, heard this, he started jumping up and down in the air because this is what these pure souls, they actually taste, God completely in this name. And Haridasa Thakur, we should read about him. We should hear about him. So much is there to learn in this path of bhakti. There's so much to be exposed to. If you don't know who Haridasa Thakur is yet, read up on him. There's so much. Maybe we got to do something about him on Patreon.
All right. Well, that is our time today, my friends. Great day today. And if you'd like to support what we're doing, Wisdom of the Sages is a community-supported podcast. You could just go to patreon.com/Wisdom of the Sages and give a monthly pledge of whatever you want to give. And for those who do, we actually created an incredible online yoga school where you can study yoga asanas. You can study all types of classes by really wonderful teachers who are leaders in their own yoga communities. We have classes on meditation and chanting and Ayurvedic cooking and Ayurvedic medicine and yin. Bob Healy did yoga nidra this weekend. Anyway, Wisdom of the Sages, patreon.com/Wisdom of the Sages. Thanks everybody, and thanks everybody for joining us on Zoom. We also have a questions and answers day every Saturday. So if you want to get your question in, you got to write Mara, Wisdom of the Sages 108@gmail.com. It's my favorite time of the day where I dance in front of the computer.
Is there a Monday recovery meeting today? Or is that not yet? It's coming down the road?
Where's Mara?
Okay, it's coming down the road, but not yet.
Okay, we do have a morning class though today, a yoga asana class today, right, Mara?
No, tomorrow.
Tomorrow.
Tomorrow with Lisa Bermudez.
All right.
Oh, Lisa B.
Hi, Steve. Thanks everybody joining us later in the show. Can you hear the music okay today?
Yeah.
My headphones aren't working. Good to see you, Steve DeSimone, Lenny Nelson, Surya Radhika, Mohan Prabhu, Nitai Lieberman.